So I'm looking at these NBA salaries, and I see Stephen Curry at number one, getting paid $40 million a year, and goes on up from there, from $40 million a year 2019-2020 to $45 million plus for the 21-22 season. That is a lot of money, and rightfully so for a player that actually won championships, won MVPs, brought in a secure fan base worldwide for that team, transformed the NBA. Rightfully so. I'll give him that. But then you move on to Russell Westbrook, getting paid $38 million a year for his team to lose in the second round to the Lakers team 4-1. Does he really deserve all that money for what he contributes to that team? I don't think so. Honestly, I think Harden brings more to the table. I don't think a pairing of Westbrook and Harden is enough to win a championship. Clearly, we've seen that. Westbrook just doesn't have it, in my opinion. Three-point shot is lacking. Mid-range has been inconsistent this season. Well, he's had some hot streaks. I'll give him that. He definitely has some hot streaks to the point where we're looking at another MVP rush season. But when the postseason came around and teams started game planning against that and the game slowed down more, he got exploited. No doubt about that. Moving on, you see Chris Paul getting paid the same amount as him. Now, do I honestly believe Chris Paul deserves just that much as Westbrook? Maybe not. But knowing that he is a franchise level player to the point he can uplift a team like he did with OKC, where we were doubting that we were going to see them in the playoffs, then you can argue that he earned that, honestly. Just the fact that he was on the team with James Harden and they went farther than where they went with Westbrook, that goes to show that Chris Paul was clearly a better option for James Harden, regardless of how you see it. Westbrook kind of limits his game, believe it or not. If they don't have a third scorer on that team, they could kiss their championship contentions goodbye and might as well just trade that team and just tear it all down and get draft picks or whatever. Then you go down again, James Harden, $38 million a year. Okay, we understand that. Franchise player, Houston Rockets, been there since he got traded from OKC. MVPs, not MVPs, but MVP. Should have won MVPs over Giannis. No shade. Moving on, John Wall, $38 million. Does John Wall deserve $38 million a year? No, he doesn't. And that's no knock to John Wall. I love John Wall, but I personally don't think that he should be earning $38 million a year based on his track record with injuries. He is a great point guard, no doubt about that. Top 10 when healthy, easily. He was arguably the number one point guard when he was having that season, just annihilating the Hawks in the playoffs. I remember that series. He just destroyed them by himself. But does he deserve $38 million a year? Maybe if he'd been healthy, then we would be able to see if he really earns that. But currently, from just the aspect of him not being able to play, no, he doesn't deserve that. LeBron James getting paid $37 million plus a year. We already understand that. Kevin Durant, same thing. We already understand that. Blake Griffin, no. $34 million a year to be supposedly your franchise player, but he can't even play a full season. It seems like the Detroit Pistons just shoot the gun with no aim. Like, they don't have a strategic plan on how they're aiming to build their team up to a contender. They traded Drummond, supposedly their franchise player. They brought in Blake Griffin to pair with him. They barely see the floor together. And when they see the floor together, it's like they just don't have no chemistry that to the point where they can actually contend for a championship. I don't like how that team is built currently. I think that they need to just restart that whole team. Trade Derrick Rose, send him to a contender. It doesn't help having him just there. They should be able to get a draft pick, a lottery draft pick at that this year. Hopefully they can just draft a point guard and just build from there. Hopefully they can trade Blake Griffin, but I don't see that happening unless it's a team that's really desperate for a player like him. other than that, we have to wait and see with that. And judging from the past few seasons, he is a very good big. I'll give him that. He brings a ball up the floor. He can shoot the three here and there. He has a good post game. Pretty strong dude. He will slam it on you. Not like he used to, but I'm pretty sure he can still get up. Then you move on to Kyle Lowry at number 9. I like it. $33 million a year. Unless they plan on keeping him, which I probably don't see. They can keep him, but it'll have to be on a cheaper contract at $30 million a year, in my opinion. Especially if they plan to have a long-term view of things and just depend on the development of their players. I don't think Kyle Lowry earns that $30 million a year after this year and the year after that. Well, he gets $30 million a year, 2020, 2021. If he could get probably $20 million, $15 million a year after that, then that'll be fair for me. Paul George at number 10. Paul George does not deserve this. Paul George is a great player, but he is just an all-star. At this stage in his career, he has just been an all-star. He has superstar moments, superstar seasons, but when it comes to understanding how Paul George actually plays on the floor, especially with another superstar player on his team, he doesn't produce. Now, that's no knock to Paul George. I love his game. I know he's a great player. I love his charisma and how he presents himself. But the fact that he will talk smack to dudes, especially Damian Lillard, when clearly he deserves his max contract over Paul George, we already understand that after that game winner, after that situation where they actually talked about Cancun, blah blah blah. But disregarding that, Paul George does not deserve $33 million a year. I don't know why I have to explain that. Think about it. The dude had an opportunity to take his team to the conference finals to face LeBron and AD. Right? Cool. They're down 3-1. No, they're actually up 3-1. Sorry about that. They're up 3-1 against the Denver Nuggets. They are supposedly the favorites. Keep that in mind. You have Kawhi. You have Lou Williams. You have Montrezl. You have all these guys that are supposedly dogs on your team. Kawhi is doing all he can to carry this team to a championship. But if he does not have a secure running mate, so that's supposed to be Paul George, scoring his opportunities when it presents himself, he's scoring the ball consistently, you can depend on him. If you don't have that, how can you say you are a contender? Especially that brick off the side of the backboard. That was wow. That was a wow moment to the world. Like, he just does not produce when you need him. Is Paul George a top 10 player? No. So why is he getting paid top 10? I don't know. I guess these GMs look at their names and try to assume that they're worth that instead of looking at the numbers, instead of looking at how they play on the floor. Will this guy be able to lift my team up? Will this guy be able to help my team win a championship? Will this guy be durable enough to play 82 games in a season and also play in the playoffs? Now, I'm not predicting that. You can predict when a guy will be injured or when he will be not. That's just impossible. But look at their track record and look at their injuries. Are they sustainable enough to be able to deal with those injuries and come back to play a whole season? Now, if the answer is no, then why is he getting paid max dollars? Think about that. These GMs are bogus right now. I think the NBA needs to reconsider how they handle hiring these GMs. Decide to just hire them on a whim with no background history of dealing with basketball. I would never pay Paul George $33 million a year. I would never pay Russell Westbrook $38 million a year. That's just ridiculous in my opinion. Hey, if you hate me for that, it is what it is. But that's just my take.